All right. So I thought I'd kick on the stream today because I played in the showcase this weekend. Um, haven't played very much at all, but kind of inspired by Marcelo's success at Internal Weekend with my list. I thought I'd give it a try myself. And I got ninth, which, if you don't know how showcases work, you the pricing is based on invites, basically, in that if you make top 8, you get an invite into the Legacy Quarterly Showcase Qualifier, which the winner of that qualifies for the Magic Online Championship Series, the MOX. I have done this once before, this past August when I got second, so I qualified for the qualifier. You qualify. So this is called the Legacy Showcase Challenge, which qualifies you for the Legacy Showcase Qualifier, which is very stupid nomenclature, but that's how it is. So I was trying to see, and this past weekend was the last showcase of this season. So they're broken up. I think it's 3 per season. Maybe it's 4, but I think it's 3. And so these are 26 player events, I believe, because it's the 3 top 8s. Or not, maybe it's 28? Well, it's 24, and then 3 last chance qualifiers. So I think it's 27. So very small events. So I was hoping to get, I was hoping but not hoping, because there's a lot of testing that you have to do to get involved with the, if you're in the showcase qualifier, it's like kind of a big deal, because qualifying for MOX means a lot of money usually. The EV on MOX is like really high. So if you can qualify for MOX, it's insane. So there's a lot of, you have good reason to try pretty hard in the MOX qualifier. I got 8th in the qualifier I played in. I went 3-0 into 3-3, but 3-2 made top 8, so I lost in the quarterfinals. So got 8th in the first one, which is still like is my greatest Magic achievement, strictly speaking, in terms of esteemed events. It's just this small event of like total murderer's row of players. So I was hoping to give it another shot. I fell a tiny bit short on breakers here. I went 6-2. But my friend my friend Lionel got 8th instead of me. But honestly, I'm pretty happy for him, so not too busted up about it. Regardless, talking about the list, this is very, very similar to what Marcelo played in Eternal Weekend. So if you haven't seen the last video or the last stream, be sure to check out the YouTube channel, because I just got that up on YouTube the other day. We go really bit by bit into his Eternal Weekend run. He went 7-3 in the Sylvan Library event, largest of the events. Not enough mind break traps. Yeah. But yeah, my break ends up being good in this event, actually. So, everything's the same except I'm playing a Muxus where he was playing a Chain Whirler for this showcase. I forget what he played in. I think he played a 3rd Pyrokinesis. So I actually haven't looked at these matches yet. I'm also 3-0, 6-0 in the league, so that's cool. So I haven't looked at these matches, so usually I take a look beforehand, but this time I did not. So here, round 1. The last person you want to see in round 1, Newton. So this is one of Newton's accounts that he's playing on Elves. I should not hit the button too many times. And I'm on the draw, which is like terrifying. So this hand abstractly isn't terrible, but the main deck Reb I know is dead here, so it's kind of a 6, and I think this is not This is like a non-London Mulligan 6, and I think a London Mulligan 6 will be better than that, if that makes sense. Especially because I'm on the draw. So, again, the rep is here, but it's okay. London Mulligan broken, you put it away. So this hand isn't good against elves, but if I draw a land, I can expert on 2 with a pile on 1, and then maybe draw another land. I can make turn for another expert if I have to, or, you know, do some other stuff. So I keep this 6 kind of begrudgingly. And like Newton has made elves more and more mid-rangey, so I think you can disrespect the speed of the deck a little bit. So turn 1 Shepherd is great news for me. Knowing Newton, I think he would rather play like almost any other creature. So he's a small glimpse here. So glimpse. This is like it's really just a divination glimpse, right? Because glimpse is itself costing a card, and then it goes card neutral when he plays the Rangers, and then it goes up a card when he plays Reclaimer. So it's really it's just a +1 card really in this spot. So what does that say about his hand? We can say he doesn't have Cradle, because if he had Cradle, he would go Birchlore, play Cradle, tap for 2, play Reclaimer, probably play another thing, and keep going. So that's good for me. Might have a second, you know, firing off a glimpse like that makes me think he probably has another glimpse. I think Newton's generally like about like value glimpses early on. If you have multiples. Okay, so we're drawing land, which is really nice. So I'm like pretty sure I want to expert here, and the Shepherd isn't really all that important. The Virtual Rangers represents mana, and that's the bottleneck. So take out the Rangers. He just passes here. So he wants to activate Reclaimer. But again, it indicates that his hand does not have that much mana producing stuff going on. Draw a second Vial, which is pretty bad. So now we have tough choices. Unfortunately, because he had 2 fetch lands, we can't matron for expert and kill Reclaimer. It's kind of what I'd like to do. We also don't have a wasteland, we also don't have a port. So realistically, we can't. The problem is if you go like matron for expert and then kill Shepherd, it's like you're losing your best card to trade with one of their worst cards in order to take them off 1 mana, right? That's just really bad. So I think you just have to expect at this point that you're going to be playing against a lower range of your opponent's hands. Because from my perspective, his hand has not been that good, or has not panned out that good. Maybe it was a good start and just hasn't drawn well. So any number of things could have gone wrong. He could have drawn like once upon a times that he hasn't had time to cast yet. He could have drawn like maybe multiple natural orders, but also drew Craterhoof. Could have a Grist here, though he's fetched 2 forests, so maybe a little unlikely, but he doesn't have like a Heritage Druid or anything like that. So we can also probably read maybe we can read there's no Green Sun Zenith here. Yeah, I think we can read no Green Sun, because he'd probably go Green Sun for Heritage Druid and then tap Reclaimer with the Heritage Druid ability. So with all that being said, I feel comfortable in that. Well, not comfortable. I am terrified, but I think what I'm supposed to do is play War Chief here, because I need to present threats. I need to close this game before he draws out of whatever kind of stagnant hand he has. So it gets Cradle, Symbiote, second Glimpse, so as predicted. But he played the Symbiote first, which is interesting. I guess for the Cradle mana. Replay. And then he uses the floating mana to get Arbor. So again, this hand must not be good. Like, that turn could have been so much scarier. So my read here is natural order. Like it has to be natural order in blanks. However, Vile Land is not a good draw. So now we have a tough call here. This is one of the few situations where if you have a sharpshooter, this game is just like easy. Just Violin Warchief, Violin or cast Matron for 1, cast Matron for 1, cast Sharpshooter, paying all the X1s, attack. He's never allowed to block. So these are the situations where Sharpshooter is genuinely insane. But we don't have Sharpshooter, so what do we do here? We're awkwardly 1 mana short of Muxus. We could go Violin, Warchief, cast Matron, get Muxus. That's not doing anything for a whole turn, basically. I could get Sling Gang, but that's kind of unlikely to save me from a Crater Hoof. So I think what I need more than anything else, I just need more raw material. Like I've got 2 War Chiefs, I've got tons of mana, I need stuff to do with my mana. So I end up going, I could get Pashlik here, but I don't have a sack outlet for it, so that that's only the activated ability. So I decided to take advantage of the fact that I get a 1 mana Matron and a 2 mana Ringleader. This Ringleader, unless I hit Smog Fanatic, can't really hit any interaction unless I hit Skirk plus War Marshal plus Pashlik kind of stuff. But I think I need to take the risk. And I do hit Fanatic, which is my only interaction, so I get to kill either the Symbiote or the Arbor. Pashlik, one of my best cards. Second Matron is awesome, and a Mog War Marshal is awesome. So amazing Ringleader, obviously drawing 4 cards. Now what do we do? I could get this Pashlik in play. I would get to swing for free, more or less. But if the raid is natural order, I just want to kill a creature. Like, I do give up 2 damage on the Fanatic because it would be a split next turn, but I think that's a little greedy. So I decided to kill the Arbor. Thinking about like Green Sun for 8 kind of situations, double Cradle. I think it's close between the Symbiote and the Arbor. He's already used 2 Glimpses, so I'm not too worried about Symbiote bouncing stuff for value. And the Visionary engine isn't going to be relevant after this turn. So I'm okay if he spends mana drawing cards next turn, really. It's just like, I'm just trying to live. So. And I decided not to attack, because this could bounce this and then eat whatever I attack with. So Arbor from hand, sack it. Oof. But if you count carefully, I can survive this turn. I go to 1. Unfortunately, there's no way for me to block and keep one of the War Chiefs, which would be amazing. But I go to 1. And from here, this is also a tough choice, actually. Do you tick the vial up or leave it on 3? So from here, you've survived the hoof hit. There isn't a second hoof in Newton's deck, so I just need to live. But there's also the wrinkle that is Grist. Grist is his only main deck removal. So there's a question of, what do I want to play sorcery speed versus instant speed? And what leaves me the most options? I think I actually make a mistake here. I tick up to 4 because I'm thinking, okay, if I draw a land, I can go War Marshal, Matron for Sling Gang, and then have an instant speed Sling Gang plus like 6 blockers. So I definitely can't die. And then I can go Pashlik, kill all the sorts of stuff. but it might just be bad. So maybe what I'm supposed to do... Also, there's also the fact that there's actually a reasonable shot I can kill him pretty quickly. Because Pashlik plus Sling plus War Marshal is like so much damage. Even that by itself is 13 damage, I think. Because this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yes, 13. Plus the matron, so it'd be 15. So we're actually close to lethal across a turn there. So I think what I'm supposed to do is leave my vial on 3. It didn't actually occur to me that I don't have to... I could just play War Marshal Vial this turn and leave the Vial on 3. That actually might be the best line. Because that guarantees me 3, 4 blockers if I need it. So if he were to go Grist minus on a 1/1. Yeah. Okay. So I take up to 4, and that makes this game harder than it should be. Yeah, that would be way better. The pile driver would be a way better draw if I left the vial on 3. Because the second vial doesn't matter at all. So now I'm priced into going Matron, Sling. I do get to attack for 1, which is kind of cool. Visionary. Shepherd. Another Cradle. I think he's probably deciding between, does he want to activate Shepherd or does he want to play Grist? So I let this trade happen because shrinking the Cradle mana is relevant with the second Shepherd in play. So here's Grist. He downticks, sacrifices the other Shepherd, I think. Yeah. Kills the Sling Gang. I got a hair fall in my mouth. This may have been a mistake from him. Because this precludes him from ever killing Pashalik. Because if he upticks and he has 3 blockers, I keep my Sling Gang. Maybe he's just worried about dying to the Sling Gang Pashalik. He knows about the Pashalik in my hand. So if I draw a land, I play War Marshal, that's 6, 7, 9, 10. No, it's not lethal. Yeah, maybe that might have been a mistake from him. Drawing a 1-drop is really nice. Because the 1-drop kind of actually bails me out of the bad situation I caused myself. But yeah, I think if I had left the Vial on 3, I'd have this War Marshal, this Pile Driver in play. I would have had an easier block, because I get the free block with War Marshal. And then Matron for Sling Gang, play Sling Gang, play Pashalik. The Pile Driver would probably swing for lethal plus on top of the drains. So yeah, I think I would have won this turn. This is a nice attack because block or not. I don't get why he blocks here. He loses the Grist no matter what. I think he was just forgetting that. So I'm at exactly 4, so I can take the Reclaimer hit here. Another Shepherd. Draw Reb. Not blocking with my Pashalik. I know I can create enough blockers. If his last card in hand was the 3rd Cradle, I think I lose. No, I don't. Because I could Violent Mogwai Marshal, then activate Pashalik and kill this and be fine. So he picks up the thing. Kill the Symbiote. Play Shepherd. Another Mogwai Marshal is amazing. Now I get to start attacking a little bit. I'm wary of I don't want this to activate, so I just do this right now. Got the Reclaimer. Now he's not allowed to attack, really. Get my Pile Driver in play. Now I get to turn the corner. I think I draw another Matron here. Yeah. And then it's just Muxus time. Hey, Dan, thanks. Dude, 18 months. Holy shit, dude. Hit Expert. Obviously very good. Kill a Hoof. Swing with everything except Pashalik. Forced to chump Pile Driver. Loses Reclaimer. There we go. This is a crazy game. I think he definitely made some mistakes with like the attacking and blocking. I made a huge mistake with the Vial. Ticking up the Vial to 4 on that turn was really bad. That definitely could have cost me the game. All right, game 2. So I sided out. I boarded in Magus of the Moon. I did not board in Mind Break Trap because Newton's version is so mid-rangey. I boarded out 1 Vial and boarded in Pyrokinesis, Pithing Needle, Cage. That it? Magus, Needle, Cage, Pyrokinesis. Yep. Yeah. This is like a very medium 7. This Crater Maker not being like an actual 2-mana removal spell makes this hand so much worse. Because then if I want to use it on turn 2, I have to play Prospector on turn 1, which is not really what I want to do, but maybe I should anyway. But I do keep it because it has good draws. Wasteland's good. Got good mana because I can cast an Expert. So once upon a time, find Heritage Druid, Bayou Arbor, draw another land. So then this is the choice of Lackey or Wasteland. I lean towards... Like, I know he has a Heritage Druid in hand. So my hope is... I think I play Lackey here with the hope that I can go... with the combination of Lackey plus Wasteland, trade off Heritage Druid plus Dryad Arbor. And so kind of reset the field. And then Reclaimer plus Symbiote makes that all bad. I draw another land, which is not very good. Just kind of have to waste the Arbor there, even though it's awkward with Reclaimer. I want to save it for Cradle, but... And I just get Giga glimpsed here. He draws like 10 cards on turn 3. And I'm like, Giga dead, but I'll just like keep playing because information. Green set for 8. GG. Not a lot to say about that one other than I maybe should have mulliganed. Or wastelanded the Arbor in turn 1. Oh, that was game 2 again. Alright, so game 3. Did I say anything? Oh yeah, I sided out. Oh yeah, I boarded out 1 ringleader and brought in the second Muxus. Because the Muxus is much better when you're on the play. Sand slaps. It's a little awkward in that you play Fanatic turn 1, then you can kind of play around it, and then you don't have a pitch card other than War Chief, which you may or may not want, but it's still like... I do play the Fanatic because I have a port. That's basically the reason. Draw another red card, which is nice. So something Newton has told me himself before is that Elves leading on turn 1 symbiote is a sign of weakness. Especially in this matchup, because it's very slow. So attack he correctly trades, because otherwise he just takes damage for free. Holding the Mogwai Marshal. Now this is my pitch card. Another kind of anemic turn, but there's not really anything you can do with no mana starting the turn. And the Skirk is interesting, because that makes the Mogwai Marshal better. And I also have to consider... So basically... When you have the Pyrokinesis in hand, and they don't have like a good start, you have to think about, you know, how do you actually lose the game? And it's more or less natural order Progenitus. Because if you have all like the creature removal in the world, you can still just die to natural order Progenitus off of like an Arbor or just a 1-mana creature, because you don't get priority. So I gotta turn the corner more or less. So I think I Slime War Chief here, because it's hard for him to get to 4 mana through a Pyrokinesis next turn. Yeah. Also, if I played the War Chief, then suddenly I can like cast a Muxus next turn pretty easily. And he passes. I draw Pashlik, which is very interesting. Now, it's relevant here that I don't have 3 red sources, really. So I can't go Skirk, Pashlik, War Marshal, all for free. I have to sacrifice something. Like, I could go War Marshal, Skirk, sack, play Pashlik, but then I only get 1 quote-unquote free ping instead of 3. And it leaves me with no free material on board. I do punt this turn because of a misclick, and I'll show you how. Also, so this pass is like very suspicious because something that I think he'll want to do is end of turn fetch Arbor and then land NO. I have the Kinesis for that, but then I have to think about like, what about am I gonna leave a red card in my hand to pitch? But all these cards are really good with each other, so you know, pitching any one of these cards significantly reduces the impact of any of the others. This Karakas is also interesting because I know Elves is playing Assassin's Trophy, so having this Karakas up could actually be really good. So I think about how I want to tap first. I play the Pashlik because I know this has to get in play this turn, and if he kills the War Chief, I want the discount off of the Pashlik is the most relevant. Then I play my Karakas. Then I play Skirk. And I decide that I can attack with the War Chief. I don't want to attack with the Pashlik because if he goes Arbor double block. Okay, no. I should have attacked the Pashlik because then I can just sack the War Chief. That's fine. And that's like on board, so he just wouldn't do it. Yeah, I should have attacked the Pashlik. I missed 2 damage. I guess that pays respect to endurance, which I don't think he would board in, but you know, it's possible. All right, so here's the misclick. So what I want to be able to do, is cast Mogwai Marshal using Skirk Prospector. If you click on the War Marshal first, it retains the discount from War Chief because you're paying costs, and the costs are set before the War Chief is dead. What I did is I click on Skirk, and I go add red, sacrifice War Chief. And now this costs 2 mana. And all of a sudden, if I want to play it, I have to put down my Caracas. And I'm trying to play around Assassin's Trophy. So this leads to this very embarrassing turn where I just go sack War Chief. Oh, fuck. And you can't undo because a trigger goes on the stack. And I'm just like, oh, shit. And I just pass. It's like literally the most painful thing ever because this War Chief is actually very good, but I'm only getting rid of it to get the War Marshal in play because that's so good right here, and then I just don't do it. It's so bad. And then he gets Arbor here, and I'm just like, well, fuck. Now I have to lose my lose my Prospector or Pyrokinesis, and I don't want a Pyrokinesis. So I'm just like, fine. I kill the Arbor. I really don't want to make that play. I think I get bailed out a little bit. Yeah, so Wasteland helps. Yeah, the small mistake. Yeah, that was so rough. Because I'd still have my Skirk in play. I'd have 2 tokens in play attacking. I'd be attacking for 5 instead of attacking for 2. It's bad. All right, so he doesn't go for the Arbor, so now I can just port him. So the fact he's passing, so his hand has to be just like, it's obviously it's not like 1 mana Elves, really. Though, I mean, he wouldn't play any 1 mana 1/1 because it dies for free now. Yeah. Absolutely true, Dan. Also, I'm like super down on time here because I've been like, this is round 1 of the event and I haven't played Magic in like a week. So I'm just like, I really don't want to lose. this game's hard. So I'm down I'm like unacceptable. I think I apologized after the match and just like played unacceptably slow. So I don't pay Echo because I might hardcast a Pyrokinesis. Hardcast a Pyrokinesis if I draw a land. Draw Matron. Extremely lucky. And now we're at a point where I don't actually care about NO for Progenitus. Because Sling Gang Pashlik will erase that pretty easily. This is like slightly scary because I don't actually have a red card with this Kinesis anymore. Unless, I mean, I could bounce Pashlik to my hand. But obviously I really don't want to do that. So he knows this is his last turn, so he has to try to glimpse. But this basically closes out most of his ability to do anything. As soon as he passes priority, I wasteland. And then Sling is lethal. So quite a game 1 especially was like insane. This game, I don't think his hand just did not pan out well. His hand was like an NO hand that didn't have a whole lot else going on. And I was able, like the Fanatic, the port, the specific way my hand curved out, and then the drawing Pashlik. It is funny that I kept this hand because it had a Pyrokinesis in it. And then I just never cast it, but his hand was just like very play a thing, pass. Yeah. That misclicked though. I did draw one of the Pyroblasts in game 1, yeah. After bottoming the other one with the London Mulligan. Though I guess I'd shuffled, so. Yeah. Alright. 7 had no mana. So this, don't know what my opponents are playing. I'm on a 6, I'm on the play. I think the choice here is pretty obviously between Cratermaker and Pashlik Mons. Pashlik's really good with the Skirk War Marshal. Cratermaker is kind of variant based on what deck my opponent's playing, but it is also a 2-drop, so I don't need to draw land to cast it, or Skirk doesn't need to survive to cast it. I think I put back the Cratermaker, yeah, because I'm like, oh, I'll draw a land eventually, and the Pashlik's really good. And this sequence just like so bad for me. Channeler, gut shot, draw a non-land, get dazed. It's like there's like literally one way for this hand to go poorly against Delver. It's like exactly those combination of things. Mill Force. I think I forgot that I was on the play, and I thought that they missed their land drop. So I think I waste land. No, okay. Play Pashlik. They only got two card types, so it's possible that this channeler doesn't flip. Plus, I want to Gem Palm. Second channeler. And then things go really badly here. All right. Bolt. Okay. In response, cycle Gem Palm. Guess what they have? A second gut shot. Immediately mills a creature blind. Yeah. Just absolute worst thing possible at every instance. Oh, and a wasteland. I'm just super dead. Yeah. Gut shot plus daze. Channeler. Blind flip a Delver into the graveyard with your lightning bolt plus double second gut shot, and then have follow wasteland. Delver's silly. All right, so game 2. So I started doing with started doing what Marcelo did, which is board out a port instead of a taiga. Because even though taiga is a bad mountain is really important to cast these 5 rebs that I've got. I boarded in 3 more rebs, lantern, and that it. I think so. Yeah. Trashmaster out, Muxus out, 1 War Chief, and the port. I decided to leave in one War Chief because I have 3 pile drivers in my deck. I'm not going to leave in a bad card like Trashmaster for a 1 of Torpor Orb. And plus, this build's configuration is not that bad against Torpor Orb, just because like Pashlik doesn't care about Torpor Orb, Pile Driver doesn't care about Torpor Orb, Grenzo doesn't care about Torpor Orb. To a certain extent, in this matchup, Ringleader is fine enough as a threat. And that 2/2 haste actually is reasonably relevant. Gem Pump doesn't care about Torpor. So it's really the card that is most impacted is Expert. But I think that's acceptable to not have a bad card in your deck. Seems a little bit risky if the... So, okay, so I think I don't want this Vial to get forced. So I want to give myself a chance to draw a red source. Though I don't even know if I would even do that. No, I think I'm supposed to just play Vial here. Off Wasteland. Nope. Okay, I got Karanaki. I mean, this is fine because theoretically they can't kill Aki and Wasteland you in the same turn, right? We draw red source. I keep in my hand though. Play my Vial. Pray for no forest. Don't get forest for once. So it's possible I should have just... I think I probably should have just played the Vial. But I really wanted to see if so. Okay, so I didn't. The problem is I didn't complete my thought. So the step one is like, okay, I'm gonna play my lackey first to see if I draw a red source, so I can Pyroblast a force on a turn 2 vial. The problem is, if you do that, you walk into a daze that should not be live at all. So you just shouldn't do that play. So I think you're just supposed to play the vial turn 1 off of Wasteland. It's possible it's supposed to play War Marshal there, but I wanted to. They have so few answers to resolve vial that I think I have a pretty good shot of this vial resolving, or this vial sticking. So I just don't need to rush. So they waste my waste, which is fine with me. Now we're sitting here, end of turn brainstorm. Ponder. Bobble. Get my War Marshal in play. There's an argument to put in Creator Maker, but this is a more important card, and the Creator Maker probably just gets bolted, whereas if I play War Marshal, I'm probably wasting their mana this turn. Draw. Okay, so Second Vial, draw Cavern, play it, but don't play Creator Maker. Creator Maker doesn't really matter. I want to waste their mana for the reasons in the scenario I just said. If they are bolt, they want to bolt end of turn anyway. And I want to be able to Pyroblast a Murktide Regent through days, because otherwise I have to wait until my next turn and kind of time walk myself as far as mana goes. Channeler, Ponder, so still no Murktide yet. And the Ponder does not shuffle. So, Major for Ringleader. So, my thinking is I don't actually want to spend my Matron just killing this Channeler. And this is something I'm slowly I've realized over the course of playing against Delver more and more, is like trying to kill the creatures isn't always correct. It used to be always correct. It's not always correct anymore. Because the 2/2 and 3/1/1s will race the 3/3, especially with this in hand. Also, the Ringleader is a pretty good shot of just hitting an expert anyway. So we hit Lackey, Matron, Pashlik. So these 3 drops are now awkward because I haven't drawn another land since being wastelanded twice. But, get this Creator Maker in. There's an argument to maybe play the Lackey, but it's a little wasteful of mana. I'm also trying to play around End of Festivities to some extent. Just extending a 4th X1 into this seems a little dicey. Also, they're probably somewhat inclined to bolt this, and then the Lackey might get through, because mid-game Lackeys can actually connect because of the Channeler is forced to attack, and then you Pyroblast their Regent as a blocker, and then Lackey gets in. That can happen. So Murktide, it's an 8/8. They have 4 cards in hand, so I'm kind of terrified of Force of Will. But I can beat Force of Will, right? This is also an interesting turn. It's actually a really interesting turn. There is a reasonable argument that you should just not Pyroblast this turn, because you can I think there's a reasonable way for you to kill in this turn. Problem is, it's bad against 2 bolts. So the line would be play Pashlik pre-combat, attack, let them go to blocks, let damage through, but if they bolt they don't know about the Sling Gang, right? No, they do not. If they bolt before damage resolves, then you just vial in the Sling Gang, and then they die, unless they have 2 bolts, or bolt plus Gutshot. So is Force more likely, or Bulk plus Gutshot? Or Hydroblast. Hydroblast would also suck. Because the problem is that if you blast here and they force it, and then your Cavern gets wastelanded, granted they've gone through 2 wastelands already. This patch might get stuck in your hand. Your whole hand gets stuck in your hand besides the lackey. So there's significant risk in pyroblasting and then getting hydroblasted or forced. Alright, so the mark down next turn. Yeah. But there's also the consideration of hardcast force. You know, they've been playing lands out. Like, Delver getting 4 lands out, and they're not even using all of their mana every turn, could indicate that they have a force but no blue card, and they're trying to get up to hardcast force. As far as removal, they've only played 1 Gutshot. They've cantripped 4 times with the Channeler in play, so it is reasonably likely they have whatever they think is more relevant. I do have a Cavern, so maybe they would put back the counterspells. So it's kind of tough. I think I end up just playing the Pyroblast. And it does resolve. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely under significant threat of dying. So they did have a bolt. Oh yeah, and then Creator Maker. And the fact that they do this makes me think that they have no instant in the graveyard. Oh yeah, this is actually kind of interesting. They have no instant in the graveyard, and they cast bolt and respond before damage. And this makes me think that they do have another instant, because otherwise this play is kind of wacky. So they did have bulk plus Gutshot, and if you do these things in response, you lose your Creator Maker kind of for free, but you also pull removal spells out of their hand on somewhat irrelevant targets, and you get to Vial in the Sling Gang. Notice I tapped Cavern last, so Lackey would be uncounterable. No reason at all to let a Daze Surveil here for free. Like, well, they could cast it, but then it's like a discarding a card to Surveil 1, which maybe they're supposed to do, honestly. Concede from there, because they're forced to attack, and they know, I think, yeah, they know about Matron. Keep closing this window. That game was close. The Cavern Lackey waste plus Gutshot. It's pretty gross. So this is game 3. This is a tough hand, I think, to say Keeper Mole. So you have a good way to contain Channeler and Dragon. You've got a Wasteland. You've got good mana, 2 fetch lands and a Badlands. Grenzo is a pretty good card. Slinging is a good card to have in your opening hand usually, because it's a good card to plan your game around. Problem is this hand's bad against the Delver start, and it's bad against Ragavan. I'm curious what chat thinks. Keeper Mole. I think they went to 6. Yeah, they went to 6. All right, so opponent's on 6. So you're on the draw, so you can either have significant card advantage, being up 2 cards, basically, or kind of go back to even, up a card from being on a draw, but, you know, and risk it with a 6. That's maybe more better at developing on turns 1 and 2. I think it's close. I did keep. I think Lantern is pretty good at stopping Channeler from getting out of control. It is worse than Relic. But I'm fine with this getting dazed, and I can play Grenzo. Grenzo, the fact that, you know, they're on 2 gut shots, Grenzo not dying to gut shot is like a real thing. So they do the thing that I want them to do the most, which is not play turn 1 threat. They don't shuffle. This is not a turn 1 wasteland hand. And I draw Cavern, which is really good. So Lantern resolves, snipes their Ponder. More Ponder. Blast is really nice, because the one hole in this hand is like once you pop the Relic, you don't have an answer. So I actually just go wasteland them. They brainstorm. Not going to blast that. And now I pop the Lantern, because otherwise they could... Maybe that's wrong, because of... Because I drew the blast, I don't have to care about Murktide as much, but I'm worried about Force of Will. I'm always worried about Force of Will on your blast is like a really easy way to die. Yeah. They have a Wasteland and a Channeler, so they didn't want to play the Channeler into the Lantern, presumably. Draw 1 drop, which is nice. So now I get to sequence around days. Oh, this is something... I think my opponent thinks that they trapped me, but I actually wanted them to do this. I don't correct my fetch before playing my Prospector. And this heavily incentivizes them to daze. And given that I know that I have this Cavern in my hand, I want them. Like, I am so fine trading Wasteland plus daze for Prospector. Because they think this daze won't be live if this resolves. But if that Wasteland stays in play and this Cavern gets hit, then the daze will be relevant. So if you don't want this to happen, you fetch first. So, like, I mean, that might just be, like, opponent feeling like, oh, my opponent made a mistake. They didn't play around the thing. I'm gonna punish them for that missequence. Because that's, like, kind of like a staple of Legacy, you know, daze tricks. Wasteland your fetch plus daze you. But it's not actually always good. Vial's a really nice draw here. Play my Vial, see if it resolves. They brainstorm, totally fine with that. They mill a Murktide, so they don't have a second Volk. Actually, maybe that's why they wanted to daze to some extent, is that they... I mean, I'd already made my land drop, so they're not in threat of Wastelands. That's probably nonsense. So I would be thrilled if this Vial got forced, or resolves. It's good either way. Play on Pile Driver. Bobble. Mill another Murktide. So they don't have blue here. Play Delver. So they know that I'm drawing Pashlik. This is a really interesting turn. This is a free Grenzo hit if I want it. It's of indeterminate value. But I think... And then I can hold up Blast through days. And I think there's a reasonable argument that I would blast a cantrip. And I would also probably blast Delver if it flipped. But it's also really mana inefficient, and my Vial is going to do next turn. So I think what I should have done is just play Slingang. Because then the Grenzo hit next turn. I mean, okay, so that's a couple things, actually. That presents 2 threats on board that they have to deal with, because it's both Slingang and Pile Driver. It's more mana efficient overall, and it uses my Vial more efficiently. And makes the Grenzo triggers more impactful, because I'll be swinging with 3, maybe 4 creatures instead of just 1. So I think that is definitely a mistake. Also, strictly speaking, should tap the Badlands, not the second mountain. Also, if I was feeling really ambitious, I could goad the Delver, but I'm assuming they have a bolt somewhere. So Grenzo finds me a very useless daze, so kind of bummed about them not drawing that, but for whatever it's worth, it makes the Delver not flip, so that's something. So they draw Steam Vents. Shock, play Murktide. It's only a 5/5. But Blast. Thanks, Pengu. Blast gets forced, so kind of as we predicted. Pitching iteration, sure. But a 5/5 Murktide is like very killable. I think we draw Expert here, which is just no, just second covering. Okay. So they have one card. Free attack with Pile Driver. Channeler. Kind of fits my curve anyway. So, because I'm basically priced into playing Sling Gang here. Yeah, this would have been much better if the Sling Gang was already in play. Much, much better for me. Because then I go Blast, they force, and then I go cast Pashlake and kill this, and that, the other thing. So they bolt Sling Gang in. Oh yeah, they bolt Sling Gang mill Hydroblast, which I don't really understand. Like I get that Pile Driver is actually the threat here. I don't know. Maybe it's fine. But what are they looking for? Another bolt? Cantrip? Because it leads to the Delver not flipping, which is actually like a huge deal. Do they know about the Pashlake? They do not. So maybe it is fine. Delver doesn't flip. Yeah. I guess they were just looking for a way to get to Delirium. So they need to, oh, they're probably looking for Ponder. Yeah, okay. They're digging for Ponder 3 and 4 because that would both turn on Channeler and flip the Delver. And that would put me to 1. But if they swing with everything, they die to Pile Driver, so they don't actually. The thing is, they're not actually. If they get Delirium, they lose. Okay, so this makes everything. Drawing the Nature makes everything much easier. So what I was thinking I would have to do would be, attack all, Violin, Pashlik. I mean, it's hard for this to go too wrong. I can go Matron Expert, kill Murktide, attack all, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they have to block something. So Channeler blocks Pile Driver probably. The problem is that leaves me dead to Bolt. If I go Matron Sling Gang, they... Oh yeah, my Prospector's dead, so I can't get a cheaper sack outlet for Pashlik, which is really awkward. So I think what I end up deciding is like, let's just see what Grenzo gives me, because that could change things a lot. Matron Gym Palm DRC, play Pashlik. Matron Gem Palm. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7. So they're automatically taking 7. So they go to 5, and then they have to block with a Delver. Yeah. If I do that, then they So this is dead. They block the 2/2. Matron for expert, kill channeler, play passionate attack all does not work. Because then they just chump block with the Delver, go to 2. And then if their Delver flips, or they draw a bolt, I die. So I just do this, see what happens. They think about blocking, or no, they do block. They do block, okay. But then they don't block anything else. And then this just lets me matron for a second Sling Gang. Right, because if they, unless they're gonna play around a second Sling Gang, they have to chump with a Delver. Maybe 2 Delvers. Block, block. And if they make that block, then I matron for expert and kill Murktide before damage resolves. They forgot to cut Pyroblast, so it's funny. If this was a closer game, that would just be insanely backbreaking. And then I Pyroblast for Murktide. But they didn't block enough, so the Sling Gang gets there. So, pretty interesting game. I think I misplayed not playing the Sling Gang earlier. Though, for what it's worth, hitting the Daze off the top of their deck stopped them from flipping the Delver, but it also led them drawing the Steam Vents, which let them cast the Murktide, which they wouldn't have been able to cast based on the top of their deck here ever. Because they would have drawn Channeler into Pyroblast into Ponder, so they'd be dead by then. So the Murktide iteration would just be stuck in their hand the whole time. So yeah, definitely should have played. I think I should just play the Sling Gang immediately. But interesting match. The first 3 rounds were like pretty crazy, honestly. So on the play here, Snapkeep, Island Ponder, play my stuff. This big show and tell vibes. Draw a dud. Impulse, definitely show and tell. Quaddle, possibly here. Pile Driver's amazing. I actually punt this game pretty hard, I think. And this is very annoying because this puts him to 1. But I'm thinking it's like, okay, if they cast Show and Tell, I just put in Wasteland, and then I have Activate Pashlik up, and then they die. But now things get dicey because they have Omniscience. So they're dead on board, but I have to be wary of Cunning Wish for Sublime Epiphany. So yeah, so I let them Impulse, which is arguably... So I think I have to decide if I'm going to do... If I'm going to try to kill them immediately, or if I'm going to wait till the last possible minute. And I kind of like changed my mind, and that's rarely a good thing. Because I'm like, okay, Brainstorm sees too many cards, I'm going to activate Pashlik. I think this is a big mistake, and we'll see why. I think I forget the exact text of Sublime Epiphany, because it both it's Stifle and Bounce. Plus draw a card. So let's imagine I did not do that. So they still have a Cunning Wish in hand. So shared summons, draw a million cards, Cunning Wish, and we're cool, goes around. But what happens if I just still have that 4 mana up and they still have that wish in hand? I can never be a 3rd wish, I think. But maybe still, because, okay, so I still have that 4 mana up. They have Emrakul and Grizzle around play. They take their extra turn. If they attack before wishing for Sublime Epiphany, they lose because the Annihilator triggers kill them. If they attack with just Grizzlebrand, then I just bounce the Grizzlebrand. And then what do? They're at 1. It's post-combat. How do they kill me? Unless they have released the ants, which these decks don't really play anymore. So unless they have Third Wish, they would have 13 cards in hand, so like that's not crazy. Plus they can cast all their cantrips for free. But if they don't have it's not only they need a Third Wish, they need like Wish, and besides a Sublime Epiphany, they need to have what's it called? Like Echoing Truth, some sort of bounce spell. They could cast another Emrakul. Most of these lists, most of Shown-Tell Blue-Green Omni only plays 1 Emrakul. So that's pretty unlikely. So I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to just wait, let them attack, and then depending on how they attack, because if they stifle the Pashlik triggers from Annihilator, then I activate Pashlik, because then I can float mana. So I messed up because I only presented them the need for 1 piece of interaction when I should have been able to force them to have 2. All right, so here, slide it out. I brought in 1 surgical, side out the Trashmaster, Fanatic, a Ringleader, Grenzo, 2 experts. Grenzo's like okay hitting cantrips, but it's very mediocre. Blasts, Muxus, most important thing. Vandal's really good. Pretty self-explanatory. Surgical for Uro, possibly. But also Intuition. We blast Show-and-Tell and Surgical it, and then they like can't really win it anymore. Sounds awesome. It's not great at presenting much of a clock, but with 2 blasts, a Caracas, a Vandal, and a Sling Gang, it's like really hard to lose. It's really hard to lose. Draw a second Sling Gang, which is awkward. Now begins the whole, how much do I play around other stuff here? So decided to play around Ice Fang Coatl here. Not worth the 1 damage risk. I do have it. But this is why Skirk is so great, because I get to hold up double blast here, even though I'm tapping my 1 red source. Cavern's not bad at all. I don't think this Lackey really does anything, so I just sack it for red. Because again, these Sling Gangs generate red. Second Coatl. So yeah, the Lackey was really not doing anything. Preordain. 4th land. Get my 2 tokens in. I play Endurance, which like shocks me. Because I'm like, why is this in your deck? Like, I guess it blocks, but like, strategically, why is this sided in against me? I don't understand. But, you know, it eats a 1/1 that I sacrificed to Sling Gang. It's really not that big a deal. Like, maybe it's like anti-surgical tech? I don't know. And then I take the trade with the Coatl. Play my second Sling Gang. Still have 2 blasts and Vandal up. Now here's the big turn. Brainstorm. Show-and-Tell. Okay. Blast your Show-and-Tell. Force, pitch, Seagate Restoration. All right. Blast. Force, pitch, Cunning Wish. Put in Show-and-Tell. Omniscience. Blow up your Omniscience. So if they had a second wish, I would have lost that game. But they did not have. They merely had Show-and-Tell double forcible. Only that. So yeah, amazing blowout for me. But now I have to kill them. This Endurance is annoying, admittedly. So we're sitting here. I do have 1 expert in my deck still. So I can kill it if I draw a Matron. Pashlik would also make killing it pretty realistic. I'm porting the second forest because I don't want to have to think about second endurance if I draw something. Drawn some lands, but I mean, the wasteland's pretty bad, but you know, they do have a second endurance. Now they're getting attacking, which is kind of scary, but also not really. Hey, Jason. And we top deck Muxus, savior of all. Kind of shitty Muxus, but oh yeah, daytime stream, that's right. I think I should attack more here than I did. I think I just attack with Muxus, but I should have attacked with everything. Yeah, this is just like actually the easiest attack all ever. But then this leads, I mean, show and tell and math and combat math don't really mesh because my opponent doesn't block. And they just die. So if I had attacked all, they block Muxus, then they take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in combat. They're not dead. I think there's also an argument that I'm supposed to sacrifice Vandal pre-combat in order to play Muxus and keep up Caracas. Because if they did draw another show and tell plus payoff, then I want to be able to Caracas the Muxus back to my hand. And put that in off show and tell. Yeah, I should have done that. Yeah, a little bit loose to not block that. That was a sick game though, right? Double blast, mass vandal, beat show and tell, double force omniscience. Add-on combat. All right, so game 3, blue-green Omni with endurances. So I brought in another expert, so I have 2 experts now. Shaved a Wasteland. I don't think I've seen a single dual land all game. Everything else is the same, I think. This hand, nah. This hand's much better. Kind of interesting to decide what to put back here. I think I would decide on the Pashlik because the War Chief, Pile Driver, Matron all really go well together. Obviously, I'm keeping Skirk because it lets me cast the Pyroblast and it's my 1-drop. So yeah, Skirk is so nice in these matchups. In the combo matchups where you want to be holding a Pyroblast all the time but also developing, Skirk is like the best card. It's so good. Remember Trap's a nice pickup. Second Cavern's very nice. Just play my Pile Driver. Again, playing around Coatl. Again, oh no, they had an Impulse there, that's right. Brainstorm. Draw land. How do I liking Lantern Last? Do I prefer Oversoul? I do prefer Oversoul Guide Lantern because drawing a card when you're popping the whole graveyard is really good. It's closer to Relic Progenitus in terms of functionality. I like Lantern the most because it is the best of the 3 against the Loam Uro decks. Because the ETB hits a relevant thing and the activated ability also hits a relevant thing. Relic and Soul Guide each only... Oh, and cantrips, right? So Lantern gets to hit both potentially, but it doesn't cantrip if you want to hit both. Relic usually just gets the whole graveyard, but the tapping ability almost never exiles anything relevant. Unless you get like Relic can play on turn 1 and you're tapping it every turn and they don't kill it. Which is it's just like the graveyard's filled up too fast for that to be relevant in my experience. I'm finding Relic just like super mediocre. All right. So this is a pretty close choice of War Chief or Matron. War Chief sets up a kill next turn. But I wouldn't really attack with the War Chief because this is Coatl mana and they can give it Death Touch. So I think my play here, I think I probably make a mistake here. But I'm feeling like kind of safe. Also, Pile Driver gets to swing because it's pro blue. So I play Matron, which I'm pretty confident is the correct play here, but I think I get the wrong card. I think I get Muxus here. And I think I should have gotten Mass Vandal. I was feeling safe because I had Blasphemous Mindbreak Trap. But the thing is, if they go Show and Tell, put in Omniscience, and I put in Mass Vandal, like imagine I have a Force. Well, okay. If I tutor the Mass Vandal, they might just put in Grizzlebrand or Emrakul, and I would lose to that. But they have more Omnisciences than they have either of those cards. And there's the potential upside of Muxus flipping. Maybe I'm supposed to get Sling Gang. Because Sling Gang would definitely present lethal with the War Chief. It's close. It felt like a mistake in the moment, but I think it's close. So here's the fight. Show and Tell. Ditch Matron, Pyroblast. Force Pitch Ponder. Okay. Muxus arrives. And the Muxus is kind of bad. What I recommend. Yeah, Pashlik. Wacky. So Pashlik is like okay, but not going to save me with their life total at 16. If their life total was lower, it'd be more relevant. All right, now here's a tough call. Here is a tough call. Do you Mindbreak Trap this? So this is Secret Restoration. Draw cards equals the number of cards in your hand plus 1. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. So they have 2 cards, so they would draw 3. You trap this. That is what I decided. Because something I actually didn't realize in the moment is that if you trap this and they fight over it, and they'll win the fight, but then the Seagate Restoration gets worse because it'll draw fewer cards. So I do trap it. They cast a Force for free, but now they only have 1 card in hand. So this goes from a draw 3 to a draw 2, and they do not have the Wish or the Emrakul. I would not beat a Grizzlebrand because I can only deal 1, 2, 3, 4 damage. Yeah, draw 3 just felt like too much. Yeah. All right, here was round 4, so I was 3-0. All tight matches so far. See my opponent's on a Yorion deck. These days, I kind of assume that Yorion means the Green Sun Xena thing. I'm on the play. His hand's great. Like he gets Force of Will. Cool. Green Sun for Arbor. Draw Cavern. Port or War Marshal's kind of interesting. The Green Sun deck is very 3-drop heavy. So I was kind of thinking, Mana Denial. Also, this porting them this turn might bait out a Wasteland that would otherwise hit my Cavern. But also, falling behind and not getting the War Marshal in play could also be bad. So I think it's pretty close. But I think I just ended up porting. Brainstorm, kind of a punish. They attack. So I decided I'm fine with Matron. Because I have Ringleader, I'm fine with Matron getting Force of Will. They go down to 2 cards. Like, I think that's fine. Get Gem Palm. I'm thinking about Reanimator Excavator is like one of the scarier cards in their deck. I've got good threats with these 2 coming up. And this sequences well with War Marshal. There's Uro, land, draw Wasteland. And now I can really like send the mana back to the Stone Age if I want. So there's some tension between using my Wasteland as a Wasteland, or using my Gem Palm as a Wasteland, or saving it for a future creature. So it's like, are you Wastelanding the Arbor? Are you porting the Arbor plus Wasteland the Trop? What's the play? Do I have War Marshal plus Gem Palm? That would leave me really cold to land Green Sun for Excavator. That'd be really bad. I think that's what I do, and I'm not sure I actually agree with it. Yeah, I probably should have left him with 0 green. Okay, so porting is better, because then I preserve the gem palm. Like, they get to use their quaddle, but like they're not doing anything then. And I guess to develop a little bit more of a threat. Caracas is really good, because that means I don't have to worry about the first time this Uro is escaped. Then they have Path to Exile, which I did not expect at all. I gem palmed right there because I didn't want to worry about like trade and then I gem palm and they go plow, save their arbor. Was not thinking about Path to Exile. I've never seen this in this deck before, but apparently it was a thing that some people did. So that kind of sucks. And I can't deploy my Vial, so now I'm kind of like off sequence. Should have ported Island there. Add Yorion to hand, sure. And now, like, okay, with this Krakus, I'm not actually scared of Uro this turn. And they also might not have it, right? They have to draw the land. So jam my ringleader, draw 4. Yeah. Play the Vial, because, okay, so here's actually a thing. You play the Vial here because you have War Chief to get the Lackey Haste. So playing the Vial here is both better in the longer run and just as good in the short run because it plays around Prismatic Ending. Right, because if they Prismatic Ending, you'd rather have them Prismatic Ending Vial than Lackey because the Lackey will have haste. Plus they only have 1 white mana, so. Alright, so they do draw the land. Uro, Prismatic Ending. But now I get to go War Chief, Pashlik, swing, bounce. I should have played Lackey, not Pashlik, but you know. So Caracas, insanely clutch. Definitely should not have played Pashlik. Should have played Lackey. Would have gotten the Sling Gang in play for free, or the Trash Master. That was a little loose at the end there. This was a game that I suspect I played poorly, but I haven't looked at it yet, so I don't know how poorly. Okay, so this, I changed my sideboarding a bunch every time I played versus this deck. I think I should be boarding in Cage now. Uro and Green Sun are like definitely their best cards, and just shutting those off, even though it gets killed by Prismatic Ending and it shuts off your Muxus, which is your best card. It's still, I think it's still worth it because it removes a little bit of power from your deck, but it removes a pretty significant amount of consistency from theirs. I went to 4 blasts. And I think over the course of the event, I started going down on blasts. I think I go down to 2. I just keep it main deck 2, or go down, maybe go to 3. Shave 2 lackeys. I bring in 1 Pyrokinesis on the draw for Ramanap and Engineer. Yeah, I think the Cage is quite good. And just was undecided in the moment. His hand's like kind of bad against. Yeah, yeah, they're likely to remove it before you find Muxus, and it'll just slow them down, right? Yeah. So they have Green Sun for Arbor again, which I'm thinking like, oh, this Kinesis is going to be good because I'll probably get the 2 for 1. Or 2 for 2, maybe a 3 for 2. So this is a game that's just like very hard to suss out a game plan. Because I want to mana deny them, but I also like don't. There's somebody who said if they don't kill my Prospector here, I can cast Muxus next turn. But since I think it makes sense, once I play the War Marshal, once I play the War Marshal, the Skirk becomes scary. So get Wastelanded, Add Yorion to hand. So what does Wasteland you add Yorion to hand? What does that say? I'm not even really sure. Like, they don't have a 3-drop, I guess. They don't have Uro in hand. We can say that. Also, maybe should have sacked War Marshal when they plot Prospector, because then I get to attack for another point. And so there's this really, like, weird, tempting proposition of Wasteland Tundra, Pyrokinesis, Dryad Arbor. Because that could have potentially just, like, obliterate their mana completely. But they could also just have a bunch of lands in hand, and that's why they put the Yorion in their hand. But with our Prospector gone, what's the likelihood this Muxus ever gets into play? So... I think if I'm going to commit to the Mana Denial line, I should probably just make that play. But I didn't really commit to a line. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I wastelanded them, but I didn't kill the Arbor. So, I mean, we can kind of read that they don't have a 3-drop. And most 3-drops that aren't Uro, but it makes them drawing Uro really bad for me. So it's like... So they Brainstorm, Abundant Growth, attack me. I draw a Pyroblast. This game's so weird. They wasteland me again. So we've gotten wastelanded twice, and I've wastelanded them once. It's like, this is kind of a grimy game. Draw a War Chief. They're at 11. These Sling Gangs could finish the game, and they have a 3rd wasteland. They're still attacking me with Dryad Arbor. So now I regret playing out my Cavern, because I would love to just expert this Arbor instead of Pyrokinesis it. I expected them to have Quaddle there, and I would have Pyroblasted Quaddle. They play Field of the Dead. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lands. Draw another 3-drop. So now I'm like, I feel priced into doing something because I don't want to discard to hand size. This game's so awkward. They're at 7. Yeah, and then they... So I do the Kinesis, and they have Path again. It's the absolute worst. And they go Engineer, and I've used my Kinesis, and the Engineer's like basically impossible to remove. Now I draw the land. And they draw Zenith. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. I played like 3 spells. Like, do I just chalk it up to a bad hand? Like, I mean, I got wastelanded 3 times. And we drew mostly blanks. Like, yeah. Just kind of a frustrating game. I think Kinesising was wrong. I was worried about Field of the Dead. But if they get 1 zombie from Field of the Dead, then it's fine, because I can just kill that too. And I kind of was thinking about Engineer in the moment. Yeah, I mean, like, I had 1 fetch land for the vast majority of the game, and it's not like I'm fetching basic Swamp. So in the abstract, I agree with you, like, these kinds of decks are a reason to play basic Swamp. In this particular game, it wouldn't have mattered. There's an argument I shouldn't have played. No, I definitely was supposed to play the second Cavern, because if I draw another land, then I can play one of these 3-drops that's stuck in my hand. And it's not like they're guaranteed to have all of their wastelands in their 80 card deck, you know? And this game was kind of tragic from what I remember. So I'm on the play. So I do decide to board in the cage now. I don't board in the Kinesis when I'm on the play. I think I'm 1, 2. Okay, I'm down to 3 blasts. I just discarded there. I've been able to keep drawing non-lands to lose 4 turns later. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, I did draw a land, but I don't know. I don't know if it matters. I don't know if it matters. Like, they could always just green sun for Uro there instead, right? I think on the play I'm supposed to probably still have 3 lackeys. Keep this hand, and so this game is actually kind of somewhat instructional in that experts actually maybe bad against this deck to some degree, because I think this hand's like definitely keepable. It's good against wasteland. You can mess with them a little with a port. Red blast is some interaction. Yeah, so I like this hand a lot actually. Draw Muxus. Plan is arriving. Abundant growth, sure. So at this point, I'm just like, okay, let's jam Ringleader. If it gets forced, then maybe this Muxus resolves. I do get Badlands here because I want to be able to double expert this turn, maybe. Draw 3. A little awkward. I discard a hand size. I discard the Lackey because I think with double expert, the Muxus might actually come in through the Lackey. Loam. Plow. Draw a Pile Driver. So I'm at 5 mana. So Lackey, Pile Driver. Oh, did I not play the second Pile Driver? That's bad. I should have 5,000% played the second Pile Driver. I have no idea why I didn't do that. I thought I did. This replay might be bugged. We'll see. Uro. Yeah, because I thought I played double Pile Driver and the prismatic ending a Pile Driver. Yeah. Oh. I discarded Lackey, not Mogwar Marshal. Yeah, now the replay is bugged because this is not what happened. Yeah. Okay. So what actually happened is I discarded Lackey, which was wrong. I should have discarded the Mogwar Marshal, like the replay thought I did. And then I would have gotten Lackey double Pile Driver, and then they're forced to decide, because if they don't kill... let's see if we can kick the bug into doing the correct thing. Yeah. But it's kind of funny that the replay actually shows me what the correct play is. Okay, I didn't discard Pile Driver either. Definitely did not discard Pile Driver. Yeah, what is this program? I know. There we go. All right, discarding Lackey cost me this game. Because now this turn is Pile Driver, hold up Blast. Yeah, replays are something else. Yes, Mogwar Marshal just doesn't do anything. Go Uro, sure. Prismatic ending Pile Driver, and this other Pile Driver's bad because I didn't play 3 goblins in one turn, I only played 2. Attack for 1. Could have been attack for 4. Or Marshal. I play this Prospector around a prismatic ending. So they dredge Loam, hit Plague Engineer. They also don't have any wastelands, so I'm feeling okay. I blast this Uro. They don't force it. But they do have 5 cards in hand. Let that die. Strong of Isles, really bad. but it's like, okay, it's time to mux this. Cost myself some damage, but it's life. And then this is just like terrible muxus. I flip 4 lands and 2 blank cards. Look how bad these experts are. Plow, muxus, like, what else could these experts be? Could be another blast, could be a surgical. Trash master would be better. Uro into engineer and I lose. But if that Mogwai Marshal was a lackey that I played on the previous turn, they would have taken 4 more damage. Or they would have had to plow the lackey. And then the Muxus sticks. And then I get to expert the engineer. And I draw another land. So I do get to kill the engineer, but it just like doesn't matter, right? I just got million for 1. And I go green sun for Titan. I draw turn 8, turn 9 vial. Just what you want. I'm playing 2 Muxus in this list. Yeah. So definitely a mistake discarding the lackey instead of the Mogwai Marshal. And drawing 3 experts and no matrons, I think, is a big hardest. Like, that was a good ringleader, but it was essentially a draw 2 because I had to discard the hand size. Yeah, Marcelo played Chainwhirler. I played second Muxus. Partially because of this matchup. I think the second Muxus is much better in this matchup. But reactive cards, they played very few creatures. The ringleader was good, but just no matrons, no sling gang, no Pashalik. Can't really close the game. But I do think that was a significant mistake. But I mean, for what it's worth, imagine how good Cage would have been, right? That would have stopped Uro. That would have stopped Green Sun for Titan at the end. Like, maybe they had a prismatic ending, but I don't know. They probably would have used prismatic ending. I mean, it probably would have gotten killed when the pile driver gotten killed, but then the pile driver sticks. Like, it would have demanded an answer. So on the draw against another Yorion deck, keeping this against either D&T or the Green Sun one. So here's the Green Sun one. Torn Vial. Prismatic into your Vial. Double Lackey. All right, this is a tough call. This is a tough call. So I guess I'll start with what I did and why, and then I can talk about all the reasons why I did it. So I think my play here was Matron pre-combat for Muxus. That's the best line against a single removal spell, right? A Plow, or an Ice Fang Coatl. It is abysmal if they have Plow plus Coatl. Like, really, really bad. But, you know, I do have 5 lands, so, like, it's not impossible to hardcast the Muxus eventually. I don't think they have Force, because if they had Force, they would have forced the second Lackey, I think, or the first one. So I think their hand is probably just a single piece of interaction. So I play around that. As it turns out, they only have 1 piece of interaction, or they have 0. They have 0 interaction, so their hand is probably just like force negation. I mean, they just brainstorm. They had brainstorm plus fetch. I don't know. I don't know what their hand was. Maybe they're just like bluffing and hoping I go for a more conservative line. That could be like they can only present one form of interaction, and there's like, I don't know, hoping that I would play conservatively. This is pretty sick Muxus, though. This is actually lethal in turn 3, because I can Matron get Sling Gang, put in Sling Gang, drain for more than lethal. So this is my kind of freebie round 5. Because, alright, so sideboarding. So here I'm on 3 blasts. I do Shave an Expert, and I bring in the Cage. And then my opponent mulligans to 4. Green Sun for Arbor. Oh, did I burn the Kinesis? Yeah, I did. Okay. I think it's fine on the draw. I think it's like very defensible on the draw, especially this list. This doesn't have great answers to Engineer. So it's a fine hedge. Snapping off that Wasteland against the low 4 every time. Main phase Quaddle, they're playing around Blast, reasonable. So, blast them. What does this Matron get is like a pretty interesting question. Like, you could just go straight for Muxus, but the problem is that, like, you have such an inherent advantage, right? You have your opponent mulligan to 4. So I think you just want to shut off their outs as much as possible. And I think Muxus would give them an out of having Endurance or, Excavator could get them out of this game. So I think I get Jump Palm here. Insulate from the most number of things. Their Wasteland. It's maybe a mistake. Vial's really nice. So it turns out they didn't have anything that turn, but I play both my 1-drops, yeah. So Green Sun for 2, get Quaddle. Jump Palm that. Just try to kill them now. So I hit Quaddle, land, I think. Oh, Endurance, yeah. Fetch and pop because of Collector Roof there. Get their last Quaddle. Yeah, Grenz is awesome. Crocus is amazing here. Crocus is actually just like the sickest. Oof, definitely not casting that one. But the Crocus is just like such a lock. So then they go Abundant Growth, Prismatic Ending, or Grenzo, bounce it back to my hand, file it back in, GG. So put up a pretty good fight for mulligan to 4. 3 Quaddles gave them a decent amount of time. But, I mean, wasn't really in danger of losing this game. I had Graveyard Hate. I had Removal. It was hard for, like, maybe if they'd played an Engineer on the turn that I had connected with Lackey and Matron for Jump Palm, they could have gotten there. They had Engineered that turn. Then I play Grenzo, then I attack, plus Jump Palm. If they have Plow, it's bad for me. Seems they did not have Plow this game, so probably just trades, and then things are like okay, but... Alright, round 6. Alright, this match was this game 1's like crazy. So I know my opponent's playing, based on past results, this 4-color Czech pile thing with Wasteland. It's like all dual lands. So I lead on Lackey to try to bait Force and or Prismatic Ending. Wasteland plus File. Draw another Lackey. Swords. So double swords, sure. Strix. Blast that. So a lot of draws that more or less win the game here. Matron, Ringleader, Sling Gang, War Chief, Pashlik are all like really good. Draw Port, which is not terrible, but Port Black. Another Strix, annoying. Expert, really worse than Jump Palm here. Like, way worse than Jump Palm here. But we're hitting them. So Vials on 4. So my top decks are like obviously very good here. Plows, Snap Plow is very good. Port their red to fairy, bounce Vial, annoying. Draw another expert, it's okay. Tap like this, so kind of telegraphing my expert, but I'm worried. I was thinking they might have Ragavan in their deck, so I wanted to hold up expert. Inquisition, alright, happens. Get wastelanded. Suppose just straight up 4 colors, all duels, all 2-for-1s. Another Vial. Another Wasteland. Power Driver's quite nice. I mean, now it's much less nice, but, you know. Teferi bounces Vial. Kills that. So I was worried about Ragavan this whole game, and then I just don't think they have Ragavan in their deck. It was in their old list on Goldfish. Their win conditions, their only win conditions in this entire deck are 4 Snaps, 4 Strix, 1 Jace. Those are the only cards that can win the game. So, 3rd Snapcaster, Iteration. Trashmaster's nice, actually. So, hit me, Violin, Plow. So I get like, that's like a 3-for-1 Trashmaster. Trades with him, Baleful Strix, and Swords of Plowshares. Like, that's such a good exchange for me. So now I'm just at the state of like, I just need, if I draw a Matron, I win the game. Draw Sling Gang, win the game. Draw Ringleader, win the game. 4th Snapcaster. Prismatic ending my Vial. Annoying. Draw Matron, finally. Get Force of Will. Pitch Brainstorm. So it's like, I need to draw a Mog War Marshal to win this game. So Mog War Marshal, Ringleader, Pashlik, Pile Driver would be good because they've gone through one. How many plows have they used? 1, 2, 3. They've gone through all 4 plows. So they have 1 prismatic ending. I think they're only playing 2 main deck, which is insane. Yeah, Sling wins the game on the spot. They can't beat any of my good creatures at this point. Now there's Strix. Also, they can't forcible this turn. Draw another land. I'm playing out my lands because I hit a Turok. Okay, they fetched, so now they don't have. They can't beat Warchief anymore. Draw another land. Yeah, Chain Roller would be like unbeatable against this deck. Teferi. Bounce and take my Vial out. Draw a Vial. The 3rd Vial. So 3rd Vial before Sling Gang. Like I feel like my top decks were just like so bad. Like unbelievably bad this game. And if I draw a Mog War Marshal, I'm pretty sure my opponent would. I mean, the Strix could maybe kill me. If I drawn a Mog War Marshal last turn, they might deck out before they can kill me. They're down to 9 cards. It's turn 17. Yeah, I was like kind of mad that I lost that game just because game 1 Goblins should probably just be like obscenely favored in this matchup. So I poured out. So this is just like, this game is all about 2-for-1s, right? So I poured out all the lackeys. Or leaving 1. Poured out Mog Fanatic. Poured out Prospector. Go to 4 blasts, not 5. I probably should have kept 5 because all their 2-for-1s except for Engineer are blue. I guess him, but I mean, if I blast 4 Snapcasters, like how do they win the game? Thought about Lantern, decided against it. It's like probably fine. Also, I wonder if Surgical and Snapcaster is a thing I maybe wanted to consider. This hand's awesome. Drawn Vial. Take Grenzo, which is interesting. I mean, it represents card. Like, opponent has like a very clear strategy, right? Their deck only cares about card advantage because that is the only thing in the world that matters to them. So that prismatic ending sucks for me. Draw another mountain. Play out my pile driver. I could play around him by porting, but I thought I wanted to get something on board, and this is a good turn to do it since I'll have blast up this turn. Decide not to blast. They do know about the blast, but prismatic ending pile driver, fair enough. Top deck expert is okay. This is my only answer to engineer, so here's Blood Moon, this card that they absolutely cannot beat. Absolutely cannot beat. So I hold the blast because it's like the only card that matters is forcible. They do not have forcible. They draw their card, tap their land for red, and then concede. So the fact that they concede there actually kind of tells you a decent bit, is that like they truly have zero answers to resolve Blood Moon. Truly zero answers. Another hand, good against discard, easy 7 keep, double vial, good Inquisition. Draw Wasteland is nice. Alright, annoying. Prismatic ending. That was a big mistake. I was thinking about, well, okay, it's not necessarily a mistake. I wanted to play around, Brainstorm, because I thought they might not have a blue source. So I wanted to just wasteland the Underground Sea, see if they get bricked. That's really awkward, my hand of 3 drops, huh? Didn't get himmed, that's lucky. The fact that they fetched into the port makes me think that this was bait. I don't think this like iteration matters all that much. So kind of punished. So they get to go snap Inquisition. Take the Pashlik. So the fact they took Pashlik makes me think that they have an engineer in hand. And draw Blood Moon. I have a brief instance of do I try to draw another red source? So I can blast a Forceful. The problem with doing that is that it gives them, they have like a bunch of discard spells in their deck. I don't want them to be able to him my Blood Moon. I don't want them to go Engineer and then like have Engineer plus Snapcaster attacking me, and then I play Matron, it dies. Then I have to get Crater Maker, and then like they force off the Crater Maker. Like things could go wrong. So I just signed the Blood Moon, and they die. So Blood Moon punishing the shit out of these egregious mana bases just feels good. Also, I like Snap Inquisition, then I immediately draw the best card in my deck. It's just classic. All right. This one's quick. I'm 5-1. Hey, Tony. So we're reviewing the showcase. So this is, oh my god, bots. I gotta mod more people so they can. No. So it's 5-1 at this point, playing as Kanister. Kanister, like, doesn't really play Legacy. Kind of hates Legacy from what I heard. So I don't know what he's playing. I'm like, okay, I'll keep this. I guess chance of the NX. So I think that if there is a mistake I make in this game, it's playing anything at all. I should have gone Foothills Pass, honestly, and then hope he goes for like Grizzlebrand, and then the Grizzlebrand bricks somehow, and then I Karakas it. That's probably the only equity I have in this match. He just goes directly for Sarah's Emissary, and I definitely cannot beat that. Card's kind of bullshit, not gonna lie. Mulligan. So Underground Sea, he's playing blue-black Reanimator. So blasts, files out, expensive cards out. Yeah. Decided against the Pith Needle, because if I play Pith Needle, it's just honestly, I can't beat Sarah's Emissary, so like it's better than Grizzlebrand. Yep. It's like, oh, I can blast a Careful Study or a Forcible on my surgical, and they just goes unmask, ritual, entomb, exhume, ha 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 ha, skill game. Also, I will admit, I was slightly annoyed because he was streaming, but like I had 2 turns in this entire match, and he took up like 7.5 minutes to do this, which is like just kind of eye rolling. Like on his game 1 Entomb, he sat on that Entomb for a good 4 minutes. Felt like maybe like 3 minutes, but way too long for a turn 1 Entomb against goblins. Like that's just not reasonable. All right, so final round. I really wanted to win this one because if I win this one, then I got a shot at top 8 on breakers. 2 X2s would make it in. On the draw here, didn't know what my opponent was playing. Fine. Keep this hand pretty generically against basically any deck. Yep. Hey, turn Ragavan. So here I decide, given that I have Mogwai Marshal in my hand, I'm totally fine with this Lackey getting dazed. I'd rather play around Wasteland than Daze. So Lackey gets dazed. So they play the Vial. They think about it for a long time, which is kind of interesting. I feel like it tells you a little bit in that the fact that they tanked on the Vial means that the treasure matters. So why could the treasure matter? So they're land light, or they want to hold up interaction on this turn. I think if my opponent has a gut shot, they would just play the Vial because they know that they can interact, even with no treasure. But I think they have a Bolt. And so that leads me to this pretty tough decision. I draw another Vial. That's also interesting. That leads me to this kind of tough decision of Cavern War Marshal to brick the Ragavan, or Cavern Expert, kill the Channeler, and then force them to bolt Ragavan. But if they have Gut Shot, I just like absolutely lose on the spot. Like just that is such a huge blow. It's almost impossible to recover from that. Poxy Return, thanks for the follow. So I think that's a tough call, but the fact that they tanked so long on deciding on whether or not to play the Vial led me to believe that they did not have Gut Shot. So I went for Cavern Expert on the Channeler, and it does resolve. And now I feel like I'm in a phenomenal spot. So they bolt, that's fine. I'm getting a bolt out of their hand on an Expert. They hit Admire, sure. And they're incentivized to do that because they don't have another land. And now Vial resolves. I get to resolve Mogwai War Marshal, and now the Ragavan doesn't do anything. The Vial and a Delver, which is like slightly scary, but thanks, Algan. Briefly considered paying Echo out of greed, but decided against it. And I think I kind of learned my lesson from the prior Delver match, and I think I just play Sinking here. Be mana efficient. Yeah. Because the reason to play Sinking there, it's not just that it's mana efficient, it's that if they find a wasteland for the cavern, this is the turn to play Sling around Daze. Whereas if they draw wasteland cavern, and I played Matron, then this could get dazed, but not the other way around because this costs less. So this is a Murktide, but it's only a 5/5. Pashlik's phenomenal. But get to kill the Murktide pretty easily here. I decide, again, I can read that they don't have Gut Shot, and I don't think they've drawn Gut Shot because it would have flipped the Delver. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goblins in play. So their last cards can't be Gut Shot plus Bolt, otherwise this would have flipped. I can see it there. Final game. Mulligan, super slow hand. Pretty good hand, honestly. Like double blast. 1 drop, 2 chop. I think I ditched the Pashlik here. Yeah. Ponder, no shuffle. Draw a Vial. And if you watched the video with Marcelo last week, you should know that like what I do here is play Lackey to bait a daze, right? I think my opponent mulligans. Yeah, so we're both on 6. Yep, Lackey gets dazed. Play Channeler. It's like a little bit alarm. I have 3 rebs now, and I decide I don't know if they're land light or not, and if they are land heavy, or if they have any other land plus a cantrip. Wastelanding here is actually pretty bad because that means I can't Pyroblast through days, and if I have a Force of Will, I really want to be able to resolve this file. So decide to play around Force of Will. And also I blast this Brainstorm. And now they miss their land drop, and I can say, well, I also draw a second Wasteland. And I hold the Wasteland in my hand because I don't want them to wasteland my Wasteland. Grenzo. This was a sick Grenzo game. Opponent stuck behind. I will say, if I had another creature I could play this turn, I would have goated the Dragon's Rage Channeler. But I hit a Volcanic Island from on top of their deck. So, Wasteland my Cavern, sure. Draw another Vial, sure. Gut shot. And I do the most conservative plays. I pay life so I could double blast, which is maybe stupid, but... Now I play my Wasteland so I can hold up all my interaction. Grenzo. It's Torpor Orb. Pretty glad. I mean, not that they would ever cast it this game, but, you know. Glad it's not in the range of possibilities anymore. They discard Murktide. Draw Caracas, which is just like super gross because now I just have that. Ponder. Ponder finds me a Pile Driver and 2 lands so I can shuffle. Ponder plus Fletchland is broken, as it turns out. Chris 1. And this Jump Pump basically gives me lethal. Exile 2 more lands. So they're just like so far from. So they draw their 3rd Wasteland and then die. Violin 2-1. GG. So 6 and 2. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how I played. There's a couple key mistakes. There's the round 1 mistake. There was the mistake against Show and Tell. The match against stainerson, the discard to hand size mistake was pretty big. I think those are like the 3 like significant ones that could affect the outcome. And other than that, I think I played pretty well. Any questions for me before I find someone to send everyone else off to? I think this list is quite good. Pile Driver is the truth. Play more threats in your Goblins decks. Play more cards that require answers that are cheap. Like this list is just much more threat dense. Being proactive is just so important. And be able to end games. Yeah, I get what you mean. Red Blast is just so good right now. Like if you're not playing Red Blast, then you probably just like play second Skirks, second Muxus maybe. I do think Ringleader is quite good though. It's not like Ringleader is bad. It's just like you want a Trashmaster Sunwear. So if you play a 3rd Ringleader, you're doing this, and now you have to cut something from your sideboard, and so it's just like your slots are condensed. Like, I guess for whatever it's worth, in that game 1 against the Czech Pile deck, if that red blast was a ringleader, I killed a Strix, I countered a Strix, and that let me hit with Lackey. So I wouldn't have been able to put in the ringleader off of Lackey, but maybe would have gotten into play later. But I think they would have discard spelled me. I mean, the fact that ringleader doesn't get hit with Inquisition is like super relevant in that particular matchup, but that's kind of idiosyncratic to that one player, so hard to say. Ooh, that is delicious dinner being cooked over there. Okay, I think that's it for me. Thank you all for watching. Play this list if you're into goblins. I think it's really good. I gotta finish my league, but I'm 3 on my league. It's like a little mixed in leagues. I think if I were to go back, I think I might play ley lines over surgicals. Is like the call for if people are playing Reanimator again, then you want more ley lines than surgical. It's not very good. No, misplacedginger was one of my opponents in the showcase. I'm playing a Vile deck with Steam Vents. Oh, Legacy Council, thanks to the host. I'm also just ending, so I'm finding someone to ship everyone off to. We just did a recap of my 9th place run in the last showcase. All right, I don't know who this person is, so this username looks familiar to me, so I think I've played against them, but big futurism. All right. Thank you, folks. Check out the Patreon. I'm going to do a cyber guide for this list. I think it's quite good. All right. Catch you later. Thanks for watching.